All right, the RTX 3090 from NVIDIA. This is the thickest and the quickest GPU. This is the king of the GeForce GPUs right now. It is big and it's super expensive. Comes in at $1,500, but just for comparison, the 2080 Ti, this is a much smaller card. The 2080 Ti is like, I don't know, it feels like a toy in comparison to this thing. Like, look how big this thing is. Now, this chonky boy, I'm going to jump into the benchmarks first. It's probably the least important part of the conversation. There's way more important stuff to talk about, but for the people that are interested, 4K gaming is probably like 8 to 10% better than an RTX 3080 in most games. It's nothing crazy. Occasionally you might hit like 11, 12% better, but for the average person that's looking for a new GPU, it doesn't seem to make sense, right? 10, 12% better at best for more than double the price. What's going on? So here's the thing. This is not a 4K gaming card. If that's what you're looking for, RTX 3080 has you covered. What this thing does, what this thing has is a ton of video memory. It's got a huge 24 gigabyte stash of it. And for some creative workflows that can make use of extra RAM, it pushes out like 20 to 25% improvements over the 3080. So in Blender and with Octane, Autodesk Arnold, V-Ray, basically anything that can take advantage of a lot of video memory, the 3090 delivers some really nice gains. A 20 to maybe 25% improvement in workflow speed can be very significant. If that's your profession, if that's how you earn your living, paying the extra $800 to pick up a 3090 instead of a 3080 is probably for a lot of those people, a good choice. Now, for some people, like myself included, the 3090 does not affect workflow very much over 3080. So I shoot in 5K and occasionally 6K for my videos, and the difference in Adobe Premiere is negligible. Like, I feel like the 3080 does an amazing job, the 3090 does a slightly better job. It's not really worth it to me to pay the extra $800 for a 3090 if video editing was all I was doing. Now, I want to talk about 8K gaming because this card has been touted by NVIDIA as being capable of playing 8K games at 60 frames per second. And yes, it can be done. With DLSS and the huge amounts of video memory this thing has, it can push out pretty smooth frame rates in 8K. And for the past few days, that's what I've been doing. On Dell monitor, 8K, it's been an experience. So this is what I've noticed about it. 8K gaming is highly dependent on the type of game that you're playing. So stuff like Doom and Overwatch, or games where the action is so quick, it's kind of hard to appreciate the increase in resolution. Like, the extra details are there, there's definitely more pixels, and if you look for it, like if you're looking at your gun, you look at the kind of features and details on the artwork, it's there. You stick your face right up to the screen, you'll notice it. But the thing is, when you're playing these games, you tend not to look at this stuff that much. You tend to focus on your targeting reticle and the actual gameplay, right? The other stuff like the explosions, the flares, the weapon effects, particle effects, it's all in higher resolution now in 8K, but your eye just isn't naturally drawn to that stuff normally. Like, you have to go out of your way to notice it. But for other games like Red Dead Redemption and Horizon Zero Dawn, these are games where the extra detail is nice. And I found that I just noticed this stuff naturally. It's not like a mind-blowing experience, right? The detail is there and it's actually really nice, but it doesn't change the feel of the game to me. I don't feel like when I play these games in higher resolution that the experience is all that different from when I played it at 4K or even 1080p, if I'm being completely honest. To me, higher resolutions are nice, but it's never been something I've chased after. I've always gone after higher frame rate gaming. But now, with the RTX 3090, you get all of it. You get high frame rates, you get crazy good image quality with RTX, DLSS, and if you want, you can go for ultra high resolutions. 8K gaming is actually a thing on this machine. The thing is, it is super expensive. Not just the card, right? The panels to see in 8K, my screen is like $4,500, $5,000. The TVs that you've seen on YouTube, those are like $30,000 units. They're extremely expensive. So the cost of this card, like the $1,500 add-on to be able to play in 8K, is only a portion of the cost. It's a nice experience, but it's a very expensive one right now. So the card itself, it's thick AF, but it's also very heavy. So this is coming in at almost 2.2 kilos, and I was worried about sag, but the weight is distributed pretty nicely because the PCIe bracket has 3 holes that line up with the 3 slots, so it's a nice distribution of weight across the different slots. The fans, so just like the 3080, it's got 2 fans, one that has air that flows through it and one that expels air out the back. These fans, I really like them. They're quiet, even on load, provided your system is properly cooled. But the fans, because they're bigger than the 3080, their top speed isn't nearly as annoying of a whine. So these hit, I think, 2600 RPM at full speed, and the 3080 hits 3,700 RPM. It's a very noticeable difference in sound. The temperatures on the Founders Edition are okay. I do think that you need a relatively large case to make this thing cool properly. Like if you have a small case, even if it fits, you're just pumping a ton of heat into the system because of the nature of this fan configuration. And because this is a big heatsink with big fans, there's a lot of heat coming in. You got to find a way to exhaust it. If you have a big case with good airflow, this is great. Now, the $1,500 question, the most important question is whether or not you should purchase this, whether or not this is worth the extra $800 over RTX 3080. And I think that question has become way more complex than it really needs to be. If you can make use of the VRAM, like the 24 gigs of memory on this card, I think this is a very reasonably priced GPU. It's not a Quadro, it's not a Titan, but it's a $1,500 card, right? Not a $3,000 card. You don't get the certified pro drivers. You also don't get NGX. You also get like crippled tensor performance, if that's the stuff you're going for. But again, $1,500, not $3,000. Now, if you're a gamer that has a ton of money, you want to try your hand in 8K gaming, sure, you already bought this. Congratulations. But for the regular people that are into 4K gaming or less, 1400 widescreen, 1080p widescreen, this is so extra. It really is super unnecessary because it's not just the cost of the card. You need to have an 850 watt power supply, or probably like 750 if you're being chintzy. You do need a relatively large case to fit it in. So you may need to upgrade a whole bunch of stuff to make this fit. So I think for regular gamers, the 3080 is the way to go. The thing is, that card is so good. That card is amazing, and that's why this is a more complex conversation, right? This thing looks expensive and it feels weirdly overpriced because the 3080 is as good as it is. But that's the reality, right? That card is meant for gaming. This card is meant for rich people with 8K TVs and workflows that can make use of video memory. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.